to Manufacturing Live. We are here today in sunny Phoenix, Arizona at Arizona CNC. Today I have with me Fernando Garcia, the manager of sales at Arizona CNC. Welcome, Fernando.
Craig, thanks. Thanks for the invitation.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Certainly. Yeah, we're Arizona CNC. We've been in business for 24 years now. We are the independent Okuma dealer for Arizona and Southern Nevada, so Clark County in Nevada, but we also represent Tsugami, and we also represent Nomura and Sharp.
Oh.
We have Sharp for manual equipment, which a lot of people have moved away from the manual equipment, and we found it to be still needed.
Necessary evil.
Right?
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Guys, nice.
Yeah.
Very good. Well, yeah. So as we sit here today in your beautiful facility with the machinery around us, we have, like you said, all different types of machinery. We have fully automated 5-axis CNC behind us, multi-axis mill turn machines in front of us, manual machines over to the left there. So it really encompasses a lot. A company such as yourself, Arizona CNC, offering all this technology, how do you get yourself out to the public? Like, how do people know about you and learn about you? I know when I purchased a machine from you way back in the day.
Right.
So, I knew the name of the machinery and I knew how to get a hold of somebody that way. But, there's so many different machines out there. There's so many different types of machining, and there's so many different solutions, right? What does the customer
I think the most important thing to remember is that regardless of the technological advances that are made on the machines, it's still a very complex sale. So we are pretty much a belly-to-belly organization. We get very close with our customers. We develop a relationship with those customers that is a person-to-person. While the social media and the website and all those things play a very important role in communicating who we are, it really, at the end of the day, it's a very, very personal business.
Absolutely.
And a personal sale. And I think that that's one of the things that Arizona CNC brings to the table, is that we do have, for lack of a better word, boots on the ground, right? We have people that are out, that are calling on people and doing their job, which is informing the customers of the technology and the changes that are in the marketplace today.
Sure.
Because to your point, with the 5-axis, there's a lot of unknowns, right? Multifunction lathes, multifunction platforms. People begin to feel, well, that's beyond my knowledge base or my team's capability. And that's really part of it. Part of it is not only just talking about the equipment, but it's also the support.
Right.
It's the support and the training and the service after the support that really plays into it importantly.
Sure. And I would imagine, that's an interesting concept, because I would imagine as a customer, when they come to you with a concept, right? I got a machinist part. And you and I have been talking over the last couple of days, and one of the things you stated was an interesting point, right? We don't buy machinery because we want to. We buy it because we need to.
Right.
We need to produce something, we need to fix something, and we need to buy that piece of machinery. So how does a customer know what they need, right? I mean, we all base off experience, right? I mean, we're both machinists, so we come from the floor.
Right.
But the reality is that there's so much technology out there. There's so many new things that are going and moving around. Like, when a customer comes to you, does a customer, maybe this is a better question, how often does a customer come to you knowing exactly what they want?
Rarely.
Okay.
Unless it's a repeat customer for repeat production's gone up, we need more capacity, we do something like that. As a matter of fact, we're working on a project right now. It's on a Swiss machine, and there's not a turned component on the finished part.
Interesting.
So it is going to use round stock to make a square part.
Gotcha.
And the main spindle will only be utilized basically to push the material for basically work handling, right? The ability to load material in. It's a high volume part.
Right.
And so a lot of the problems associated with traditional machining is how do you load and unload the parts? And so that platform allows you to do that.
So they initially probably came to you as a mill customer, like, hey, I need a mill, right?
That's exactly, the request came in, we need a horizontal machining center for a project. And now we're looking at a 5-axis Swiss machine as the answer to the problem.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So I think that that's the important part of it, is that I think that there's a knowledge-based limitation that takes place. I think the internet is a wonderful tool to go and find out, but I think it's important, and I think your clientele, the people that we're talking to today, involve us. There's a reason why we still consider it a complex sale, and quite frankly, if it was that easy, we probably wouldn't be selling it the way that we're selling it.
True. Yeah,
and it is a requirement. It is very important that we understand the scope of the work and what are the expectations, and being able to meet those. And a lot of that just simply can't be handled by transactionary purchase online.
Right. No, that makes sense. That absolutely makes sense. That's good stuff. Because as a consumer, right? You think you know. You got, oh yeah, I know this. I've looked around. I've done my research, done my homework. I've been to MTS. I've gone round and round. I know exactly what I need. And then you realize, wow, there is a couple different ways to maybe attack this. So you actually assist the customer with that, right?
Absolutely. We do turnkeys, full-blown turnkeys, where the responsibility is co-shared between us and the builder. And the burden lies in producing an end result that the customer wants. And so there are statement of works that are created that identify what the expectations are for each party, and we're more than happy to do that. But again, it goes back to that we're trying to talk to people about money, right? Because that's what this is. This is an investment. You're investing in your company. And back to your comment about buying stuff, you buy homes, you buy cars, you invest in your company. And so understanding how significant those investments are into your company and what they mean to your bottom line. And as I've always said, how much money are you making per square foot? I think we talked about that a little bit yesterday, when we were present. Yeah. And it really is about that. It really is about utilizing the people, because again, we all know this. Every shop we go to, every shop will say the same thing. We need people, we need people, we need people. At some point, we all as a group, we need to recognize that we're not going to miraculously have 100,000 capable machinists tomorrow.
Right.
And we have a burden to continue to, you can't just, what are you going to do, close the doors because you can't find anybody?
No, it's not.
You have to automate to some degree. You have to take the people that are working for you and make their work more valuable.
Yeah, definitely. And that, that is a subject that is near and dear to all our hearts, right? Wherever you live, we're always like, we're missing that next generation, right? They're just not there. And I mean, there are a few out there and up and coming, but it's not nearly enough to fill the big gap that's going on, right? So with that being said, we have less employees, if you will, or less talent in the industry. We have more technology. So what are you seeing? What are some of the trends that you see these days? Like, like I'm sitting here right now, I got a mill turn machine, a multitask machine sitting right in front of my face, right? I know what that thing can do. Are you seeing more of those? Are you seeing more of a 5-axis? Are you seeing more of a Swiss style? What do you generally see these days?
It's just getting to the point now where more and more of what we sell has some complexity to it.
Gotcha.
It's not just a standard 3-axis vertical machine center anymore. It always has some sort of peripheral devices on there that need to add value to that side of it. But you're absolutely right. What we really see, the trend is moving towards the part geometries are getting more complex.
Right.
As the part geometries get more complex, you have to recognize that the traditional way of op 10, op 20, op 30 of doing something doesn't allow you to create the part effectively and to print. And so what we're seeing is more and more of, there's such a misnomer in our industry right now. When we talk about 5-axis, everyone talks about impellers and things of that nature. Of all the 5-axis that we sell, probably over 90% of them are not actually doing 5-axis machining. They're doing 5-face machining. But that's really the key, because the key is the ability, if you can make a feature and create a feature on the alternate side of the part, the geometry is inherent to the machine.
Right.
So whatever the geometry, the capabilities of the machine is transferred over to the part at that point. So you're not having to worry about fixture designs or how to manipulate a part. Sure. But there's one other important part of it too. And that is that it really reduces the WIP in your organization. And that's really beginning, because think about this. We all know, you mentioned you were a machinist by trade. I'm a machinist by trade. We've all lived in that world where I've got to go bid on a job. I've got to take that job. I've got to go buy the material. I have to have all the people here to do it. I have to make the parts. I have to do third-party anodizing, heat treating, all of those things. Then I send it to the customer, and then maybe I get paid 30 or 60 days down that road. So the idea there is, by having a 5-axis platform, it's not just about 5-axis capability. It's about being able to reduce the whip that's on your floor, because that's your money as a shop manager or as a shop owner. That's your money that's laying around on the floor in these parts that are part of the way of getting on their way to being complete.
Absolutely, totally makes sense. Yeah, and generally in the manufacturing industry, you're always wearing different hats. So just like you said, you have all these different hats that you've got to wear. The ultimate goal is to get paid, right? We got to get a part out, we got to get money in the door, and that's the ultimate goal.
I think the other fear in the marketplace is that as we've gone from a society where we do more of our buying in a non-person-to-person environment, because we go to Amazon, we go different places, we buy things in a different fashion, that we've become somewhat alienated towards a salesperson walking into your facility.
Yes.
And that salesperson is not trying to walk in to disrupt your life. That person is trying to make you recognize that maybe there are other tools, other tools at your disposal.
Yeah, definitely. Sorry, I'm just I'm being reminded right now that we have a live feed. Sorry, guys. There is a live feed. There is live chat coming through. So I'm just kind of glancing over this and just seeing. There's a couple questions here. Let's see. It says, what's the most significant, biggest challenge in CNC over your working life? So, biggest challenge in CNC programming, I would imagine, or setting up. So what it would be the biggest significant challenge for you?
I think for someone like me who's been in this business for almost 40 years, the biggest change that I've noticed is that the computers actually do the work that we're explaining to you is capable. That people are making this more complex than it needs to be. And it used to be, if you had a 5-axis machine 20 years ago, it was a very complex piece of equipment to operate.
Right.
As we go into today's world, with the benefit of the computers today, we're seeing more and more of those tasks being managed by the computer itself. Yep. So really your responsibility is to ensure that your work holding and that your setup and that your tooling is proper, and that you'll end up with a good part. And I think that it's a big fear. It's a big fear that, I don't know enough to get into 5-axis. And the danger there is that that's why we're here.
Right.
We're here to help you.
Exactly.
That's exactly that.
And that's it, right? Like I mean, I remember, obviously being in the shop and moving forward. And I came from a shop where we didn't spend money on anything, right? Like it was very bottom of the rung. We didn't do much. And we've talked a little bit about this, doing more with less, right? And that meaning, what you, or your definition of that meaning, was very different than my definition of it back then, right? Like, do more with less. That means, okay, you don't have an insert today. Figure it out, right? So, the times are different. People understand that you do have to invest in to get parts out the door. So we get that. Doing more with less, and that fear of the unknown, that's a scary part, right? There's always that fear of the unknown. So like you said, hey, I'm dipping my toe into the 5-axis industry or the world. I'm dipping my toe in the multi-function machines, right? That's scary. It's a scary thing. And knowing that a company such as Arizona CNC is out there to assist with not only the sale, right? Obviously sale is what drives it, but the complete installation and the complete moving forward of that project is a good thing. It's a really good thing.
It really is. I mean, and I think that's why we're still here.
Yeah, absolutely.
If we had changed, think about when you bought a computer 20 years ago, it probably had an owner's manual.
Yeah.
Okay, and today you buy a computer today, it doesn't have an owner's manual. You spend $1,000 on your phone, it doesn't have an owner's manual.
Right.
And so while there's certain advantages and technology that have taken place, there's still an avenue of training. We're going to train you, and that's the burden that falls on us. It is our responsibility to ensure that when you buy a machine from Arizona CNC, that we teach you how to utilize that asset.
Absolutely.
And it was kind of like what we were also talking about yesterday about when we talked about the more and less.
Right.
For me, it's always the thing that I've always challenged people on is, we talked about it yesterday, it was that how much money are you making per square foot?
Right.
And that's the thing that I think that I don't think that there's any, to the comment you made about the shop owner, but at the end of the day, I don't think that there would be any shop owner that if you went to them and said, hey, look, if we do this and we spend this much money here and this is how much more money we're going to make, that people are going to listen.
Absolutely.
People are going to listen.
And you know, that's a beautiful point, right? So we talk about the employees that you have, and there's not enough people in the industry today. But one of the big things that we touched on yesterday, and even today, is that, you know, when you as a machinist or an employee of that company, if you have ideas, that company generally wants to hear those ideas, because you are the person that is up front and center working on those and dealing with that day in and day out, right? And so you may see something where you can cut some time, move some things around, change the way you hold something just a little bit, and it makes all the difference in the world on producing that actual part, right?
It really does, and you have to kind of again go back to the thing about that as a person that works in a shop, the responsibility is not just operating the machine. It is looking for those other avenues, because if you can save money in making that part, that translates right to the bottom line.
Right.
That translates right
Absolutely.
to the bottom line. There aren't a lot of other sources taking away from that at that point.
Right.
If you bid a job and you said you could do it in 5 minutes, and all of a sudden one of your employees comes up with an idea and you can do it in 3,
why not? Right?
why not?
Yeah.
Right? Why not?
Yeah.
Right?
And not only that, right? I remember, you know, you can make a job so that you're standing in front of a machine very monotonous, right? It's just okay, same thing, in and out. But we all know that we're all human. We all thinking of other things. We're all thinking, we're creative, right? Machinists are creative by nature.
By nature.
Right? So that creativity wants to come out. And I know one of the best things for me, as I was young machinist, cutting my teeth, doing things, cranking handles, you know, working on tracer lathes, whatever, the ability to have that creative freedom and let some of those creative juices flow opened so many doors just in my career, right? Yeah. So the ability to do that and kind of expand out, where a company might not necessarily come out and say, hey, reach out to us and tell us what you think. They might just be expecting it, right?
Right.
And need you to kind of help with it a little bit.
It really does.
That's nice, and it helps foster that, right?
It really does. And again, when the guys are out there, I think there's it's almost like I've walked into shops before, and people have literally looked up and said, no, I'm not buying anything today. And my response is, no, I'm not selling anything today.
Right.
Because if I don't, these people, they're out there to learn about your business and the way that you operate your business, so that if there is an opportunity to help you, we'd love to help you. Yeah. As opposed to we're just peddling something. We're not just peddling something. We want to be specific. It is a capital expenditure. It is a big deal. Yeah. Okay, when you think about the investment that people make in machine tools, most people, well, maybe before COVID, it was how much money you spent on a house. Maybe it's a little bit upside down on that front right there. But it's that significant of a business. You're talking about a business that has $2 million, $3 million worth of sales, and they're going to go spend $500,000 on a piece of equipment. We have to make sure that it works right.
Right.
So that's, again, and I think that's where this engineered solution really comes into play with the partners that we have with Okuma, with Tsugami, with Nomura and Sharp. There are things that we add value to that, and that's what helps the customer at the end of the day.
Not only, I mean, looking around your shop, you also tooling, right? So you know, we talk about the entire package, the engineering solution, right? You're talking about a machine. Oh yeah, we need a 5-axis machine, but there's still tooling that comes with that, right? Oh. You've got to buy things and fixturing and work holding, and I see you have solutions throughout which allow an end user to come in, purchase an end-to-end solution like we were talking about, right? And that's huge. Right?
I think the message that I'd like to deliver is that use the tools in a proper fashion. Like, again, go to YouTube and and do your research, but at some point get a professional involved.
Right.
Because again, it's in our benefit as well too, because quite frankly, we don't make money if you don't buy anything.
Yeah.
We know that. That
Right.
doesn't, I don't need to explain that to the
No,
people.
everybody knows that.
Everybody knows that. But so there's a reason why we do what we do, because we feel that there's a value proposition on the other side. So do your homework, look online, but do yourself a favor as well too, and pick up the phone or send an email and call a local representative to have him take a second look at it and see what maybe they could help you.
One of the biggest things that I learned is, as you know, kind of growing up doing the machining stuff, right, and coming through my journeyman experiences, that you know, everybody's knowledgeable in their certain areas. Not everybody knows everything, right? Like, we all want to know everything, but the reality is we're experts in certain fields, and this holds true throughout, right?
Yeah.
And one of them was tooling. You know, you always get, oh, how fast should I run this, right? You're like, well, I don't know. Let's take a look at what insert you're using, what coating you're using. Go to your tooling guy and talk to him a little bit, because you'd be amazed that those guys test all the time. Right?
Absolutely.
And it's funny, so many people don't realize that, right? That the tooling guy alone is there for you.
It's even the reason why we have a tooling division here, for that exact reason.
Yeah.
And a lot of times, you're absolutely right. You'll be in a situation, you'll tell somebody, hey, run that at 350 surface footage, and they're like, oh, I'm not running that at 350. Run it at 350. Try it, because that's where the testing has. And to the comment that we're talking about is just that there's a reason why we're here. And the reason why we're here is to help you. So if we can help you, but to your point about like the tooling, it all begins to become overwhelming.
Right.
And that's where we can simplify it for you. Again, the comment about what's the difference. Think about when we used to be on the floor with our manual machines, and you had your sign played out, and you had to achieve an angle, and then you had to do all the mathematical calculation. You tell that machine to rotate to 30 degrees and tip up at 15 degrees, and you need to machine a surface and drill a hole pattern on the top. It doesn't think about where it is. This is X, Y, and Z. This is the plane that we're in.
Right.
And so that's really where I think that people are fearful of it, but they're only fearful of it because they don't understand the advances that have come forth on not only the mechanical side, but the computer and the electronic side, and the ability to manage tool motion to achieve a good part.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I would definitely agree with you on that. Yeah, it is pretty good. So we just had a couple questions earlier.
Yeah.
Keep the questions coming, guys. This is really good stuff. Again, kind of getting back to the machinery and kind of what you're seeing. So, and I don't know if it was answered, but do you see more 5-axis mills? Do you see more? I mean, just in a quick, right?
Yeah.
I mean, obviously this is a big question, but like, so in the software side of things, we always hear we need mill turn and we need Swiss, right? That's software is always mill turn and Swiss, mill turn and Swiss. But is that the reality? Is that what you guys see as a machine vendor? Are you seeing more mill turn or multi-axis type machines, or are you seeing just a standard 5-axis? You know,
it really is becoming where it's in the technology.
Okay.
And it just very rarely do we have a customer call and say, I just want to buy a 2-axis lathe.
Yeah.
Or I just want to buy a 3-axis machine center. And so the market is recognizing that the benefit of these things, and it's just that, again, the more operations you can do, there's a couple of benefits. Number one is obviously the geometry and the ability to make a part in one work holding, so the geometry is going to be much more accurate. But the other part of it too is the fact that when you have less employees than you want to have, if you can do more on one platform and that platform is occupied, then that individual can go find value in doing something else as well too, while that machine is running.
Yeah.
So while it adds cycle time, and everybody will say that, oh, well, it's not a mill, but it's also looking at the tack time. You can't just look at the cycle time anymore. When you, back again in the old days, when you had one machine and one operator, and you would have an insert guy come in and he would say, here's an insert that you can run faster, and it would benefit that singular function and that particular individual. Nowadays, start looking at how much production can I complete in a day? Because now it's suddenly, maybe it's not the fact of how fast I can make them, but how well I can make them.
Right.
Right. And if that cycle time is just a little bit longer, because maybe you want to make sure a tool lasts a proper amount of time or something like that, even if it lasts a little bit longer, at the end of the day, because you don't have somebody standing right there in front of the machine, the value is actually created on the multifunctions.
Gotcha.
Now, when you get into the 5-axis, it really is about accessibility.
Right.
It's about the geometries on the parts becoming more complex and going to a concept of almost like a billet type of work. That now we're going to buy material that's going to be, blanked out, if you will.
Gotcha.
So, even if the part is 2x2, we're going to saw all of our blanks into 3x3 squares. And we're going to start with a 3x3 square, regardless of what the shape is inside of the part.
Okay.
That helps on the work holding, helps on the setup, helps do all of those things. And at the end of the day, you're still making the part.
Okay.
So I think that's where you're really seeing it. And there's still a need out there for 3-axis.
Oh, yeah.
There's still that
That'll
need
never
out
go
there.
away.
But I think that it's really changing, and I think that it really is. And I also think one other important thing, it does have to do with the fact that the computers are getting better. They're getting better. They're understanding what we're trying to do with the computer now, not trying to take a machine and putting a computer on it. Now it's truly is the marriage of those two technologies, and that's important. And you made the comment about tooling. Again, we have a division here that's all they do, because it does open up new avenues. And maybe the way that you were doing things before is not going to be the way that you're going to do things moving forward. And you have to change that.
Yeah, right. And that's a good thing. Like as a customer, you think, okay, yeah, I got this. I know this. I've seen this, and I've seen, everything there is. We were talking a little bit the other day, and we have a customer that is getting in with a right-angled head, and they're coming in, and they made this contraption to mill. They need to mill a slot in a cylinder, right? And the idea of a cylinder. And, they were doing something to get it done, and they reached out to somebody, one of their tooling vendors, and the guy goes, yeah, I've got something for this. And it's driven by coolant, and it does everything you want. It's right-angled head and everything. And they were thrilled. It does everything that they do. It's automated. They can automate the whole process. They had to stop everything, and they had to tear down a whole production line just to be able to do this operation. Now they don't have to do that anymore, right? So that exposure to this tooling and these new things is key, right? It's paramount when you're purchasing and looking at machinery. Is how do you get more information on other things out there, right?
Absolutely.
And you've got some amazing tooling inside, like this multi-axis machine I was looking at. There's just some amazing things.
Even a couple of weeks ago, we actually hosted. When we talk to customers, we really want to start talking about exactly that, is solving their problems. And I see so many people out there simply just trying to sell a machine tool. We hosted an event here 2 weeks ago that was about broaching. And that's all we did. And we did static, rotary, dynamic broaching. Every machine had a broach on it. And we had about 25 people in here. And even the comments, as people were leaving, there was one customer who turned around and said, I had no idea. A person who's been in this industry for a long time, he said, you have no idea how much work I turn away because it has a broach.
Right.
And I had no idea that there were all these tools available at my disposal that were reasonably priced, that could address that problem, and I could have won that job, or I could have won that business.
Right.
And so that's really what we're trying to do, is be more of an educational resource instead of maybe like a Lollapalooza, just having people come over and just look at machines. It's really driven on the educational side of it.
Yeah, no, that's so valuable, right?
Yeah.
Like you said, I really wanted to be here for that. I had learned about that, and I was very sad that I wasn't going to be out here for it. But I really wanted to learn, because I'm learning every day in everything that I do. We're continually learning. We talked about this. It's a never-ending cycle. You're always learning no matter what you're doing. And for me, I really wanted to see that, because prior to this, I was doing post writing, and I did that for almost 20 years, and I've written broaching into posting, so I got the concept. I totally get it.
Right.
But there's definitely, we write posts the way customers need them. You're only seeing maybe a portion of what the possibilities are out there.
Yeah.
So
that really was. I mean, because
it's beautiful.
Because if we don't, it's only part of the equation. And if we don't help people get the full utilization of the machine and the full capability of the machine, so that's really what our focus is going to be moving into 2024 is educational events instead of quote unquote selling events. We really want to have educational events because educated customers spend money differently than uneducated customers. Okay, so we want to try to bring get everybody's skills up and understanding where the value side of it is. That's what happens when you're live,
know,
right?
Yeah.
But then there was one other comment that we were talking about earlier too about this how much money are you making per square foot?
Yeah.
I would challenge everybody out there that think about this for a minute, that we all have the shops that we're in, and I come from the floor. I've been in a machine shop and I come from the floor, and there was always this black hole. There was always a spot in the shop that was a bunch of old equipment or something that nobody used anymore. And I would challenge everybody out there to think about that black hole, because the biggest constraint that any of our customers have in their lives, the largest single constraint they have is the four walls that they're building into.
Yeah.
And so you really start to need to look at, what am I doing with my space? Okay, you can have machines and all this other stuff, but how much money am I making per square foot? That's a really good barometer to use to just translate it. It's simple, and it should be a tool, and then that way you can understand the value of that space in your shop. And you can look at it and you can say, oh, well, all that stuff's paid for, and if I ever need it, it's there.
Yeah.
But is that a good reason to do that? Or should you be investing in some technology over there on that side?
Yeah, it's funny. I remember I was looking for work, right? And I went out for an interview, and I went to the customer shop, and they were like, well, we're going to have you set up, we're going to have you on this mill turn machine, but we have old Betsy over there too, and we'd like you to work on her. Nobody touches it, nobody really messes with it, but maybe, in the off time or something. And I'm thinking, wow, right? Like, just like you said, there's that dead space, like nothing's happening with that.
Nothing's happening, and it's not generating any revenue.
Nothing.
No revenue.
Yeah. So how do you utilize that? How do you bring that out and really start to help the company generate revenue, right? And maybe add a station in or something, right? What have you?
And again, we're talking about it, the space that one of these machine tools takes up is what, 150 square feet.
Right.
So what could you be doing, right? What could you be doing with 150 square feet?
Yeah.
That's the important side of it.
Exactly.
The other thing too that is something that's missing in our industry right now that we do it, and I think it's important, and that is laser calibration. We didn't touch on that. That's an important thing too. You buy a machine, it's just like your car, you get car tuned up or whatever, you need to stay on top of the maintenance side of it as well too.
Absolutely.
And we have that capacity here in house as well too.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, no, exactly. That full end-to-end solution, and that's important, right? And I mean, I can attest to that, right? I mean, like I said, I purchased a machine almost 20 years ago, and I still keep in touch with you guys. So it's not, let's just buy it and walk away, right? There's definitely a closeness there, and the ability, for Arizona CNC to really reach out and connect with the customer and the end user and the consumer. It's an important thing, right?
It really is.
It's really important these days.
And again, I would encourage people, have a relationship.
Absolutely.
It's the other one that I really enjoy hearing is when you go into a customer and they go, well, I'm not buying anything right now. That's when you want to get to know. Because when the time comes that you need to buy something, you got a lot of other things going on in your mind at that point, And so I think that plays into it as well too. That's part of it as well too. That understand that we're really here to help, and we're here to break the barriers down, the fear factor, the unknowns.
Yeah, and on that, like you say, I don't need anything, right? So when you're buying a machine, there's a lot more than just picking out the right machine that's involved. Like you said, it's a money thing, it's manpower. What am I going to do? How am I going to do? Where am I going to pull this person from to run this new machine, right? Like, oh my Lord. So we're already thin as it is. What do we do? How do we deal with that? And all of those factors come in to a purchase such as this, and it's nice. It's really nice to see that Arizona CNC is there for that customer. So,
and again, and the thing you touched on something a little earlier too about the generational thing, and I will say this: as I've gotten older, It's refreshing. Was at a customer a couple of days ago, and it was actually it's very kind of a proud moment because it made me feel like our industry is every decision maker at that company at that table was younger than 40 years old.
That's amazing.
Every single, there were 5 guys at the table.
That's awesome.
And every single one of them was under the age of 40, and they were the ones making the buying decision.
That's amazing.
Yeah. So I see that next generation coming into it, and I see that they utilize the tools a little bit better. They do the internet searches and stuff, and they kind of narrow the field a little bit, and then key in on a couple of key individuals and talk to them.
Yeah, you know, and that's it. Companies are respecting that, and they're looking at that, and they're going, okay, you know, these guys are the decision makers. You know, it's when I was learning, I remember I learned from a few people that would give me their knowledge. I was blessed with them to give me their knowledge, but the majority of the people that I worked with, they didn't want to tell me anything. It was their piece of their nugget, right? Don't talk to me, just leave me alone, and I'll do my thing. And they knew how to do it. And they would always go to them, and that was their idea of keeping their job, and kind of, you know, the old school mentality of, okay, you don't know it, I do, so I'm locked in.
Safe.
I'm good. Yeah, I'm safe. But we all know that that just doesn't work in this day and age. There's not enough people to go around for stuff like this.
No, you're absolutely right.
You know, that's amazing.
I think the other thing too is that I think the generations have recognized that that is the future, and that I have to empower those people. And so my message to anybody out there that's looking at listening to us today, if you're working in a shop environment or you're in a shop and you're in that age group, there is nothing but blue sky in front of you, because there's actually almost a generational gap that took place there. So your acceleration, your ability to get change, but it is about change. I think that nobody, the adage about we don't buy anything, give me a reason. Give me a reason to tell you no. Because if you're going to show me a way to make more money, who's not in that? And the other side of it too is that if you simply say, well, I've got this one platform and I'm just going to buy another one without doing any due diligence, there's a couple of things. One is time. Things change. There are other technologies that come out. There's other benefits that come out. But the other part of it too is that don't you want to increase your competitive advantage? So just because you have one platform doesn't necessarily mean that the next is the incumbent and that's the one. And we would challenge that. We want to be challenged that. We want to be challenged on the second order, because we do a good job on the first order. But I think that that's kind of where people need to understand that the people that are moving into this industry, the people that are moving into this place, it's nothing but blue skies, because you don't have, there's a gap between the 40s and the 60s. There are very few people that are 50 years old in this business.
That's right.
There are very few people that are 50.
No, you're absolutely right. Yeah, and you know, it's interesting. I mean, we all have kids, and we talked about our kids and stuff. And I talked to my boys coming up, and I'm like, look, you know, the shops aren't just dark and dingy places anymore, right? They are bright and open and have high technology sitting inside of them, right? So there's a lot to these places.
I mean, even if you look, you can see on the control behind us back there, there's actually a stylist. I mean, when I ran a machine, there was no stylist. You had 10 buttons and you had to make them work and all that stuff. You know, now it is more like a computer. Touch screens, manipulate screens, move things around, copy, paste. All of those things now are more Windows type driven, as opposed to being some secret G code, M code, hidden language, if you will.
Definitely.
And even to this day, I tell people, when the G codes and the M codes got the decimal point, that's when I got out of the programming. I was like, no, I ain't doing that anymore.
I thought that was cute. You said that yesterday. I thought that was great. That's a pretty good marker.
Date myself right there.
Okay, we're done.
Yeah, we're done. And so what you're seeing is that we're recognizing that. The OEMs are recognizing it. That it is a necessary thing to create an environment where people can take their skills that are everyday skills now, because everybody has a computer, everybody has a phone, take those skills and transfer them over with minimal amount of interruption.
Right, yeah, absolutely.
And that's really what you're seeing, because again, the math, there is no math, okay? I mean, you know, again, we used to sit down with our Texas Hewlett-Packard calculators and sit there
sign bar
or triangulate out things, and We don't do those things anymore.
No.
We don't have to do those things anymore. The idea there is to making good parts.
Right.
It's really about that. And I think we laughed about that yesterday, because even when I was on the floor, all I wanted to do was make good parts.
That's it, right?
That's all I wanted to do.
Yep.
Just give me a platform that I can make good parts, because then I don't get in trouble with you.
Yep.
I don't scrap your material.
Right.
I don't bum you out.
Everybody's happy.
Yeah, I just want to make good parts.
Yeah.
And if you give your employees a platform that allows them to do that, and it also having a platform that they can grow with.
Right. Yeah, definitely.
That they can grow, that they can
Definitely.
learn about different features, different benefits, things of that nature along the
Yeah,
way.
yeah, no, those are good points. Good, the growing of the platform is extremely important,
Yeah,
right? You start somewhere, you kind of launch your career and you get going, and you don't want that to fizzle out, right? You want to stay going. I remember, just kind of going back to some of my stuff, but I remember, like touching back on the original question, what are your biggest challenges in CNC and whatnot? But I remember I started out on manual, right? Started doing manual stuff, and everybody goes, that's where you want to start. That's where you want to start. But it's hard to start manual, because not many people are doing manual stuff anymore, right?
Right.
Back then, I got thrown on a manual mill, and then we did all turning. So they threw me on a turn. And that was my comfort zone, turning. And I did CNC turning. I even got into the CNC milling of it, but I always fell back to that turning. That was my bread and butter. That was my home.
Okay.
And so probably one of the biggest challenges for me, there's a million challenges out there, right? But one of the bigger ones was bridging that gap from lathe to mill, right? Because you always go with the one you start with, right?
Yeah.
And I talk to machinists every day,
Yep.
and they're all, oh, I'm a mill
I'm
guy.
a mill guy.
I'm a mill guy.
I'm a
mill
lathe guy.
I don't know anything about lathe or whatever, right? But you always go back to your comfort, right?
Yeah.
And that bridging of that, nobody really talks about it, but everybody has to make a bridge at some point to
Yeah.
figure it out. And especially when you get into these multi-axis machines where you're merging all these technologies together, right? You're bridging that every day.
Yeah.
Right? So,
Yeah.
those are interesting things.
And it makes you more valuable as well.
Absolutely.
Too, right? Your skills, nobody can take those skills away from
No,
you. Your
yeah.
ability, and that's just it. I think think about any other industry or any other job that you do. You have the ability to make it better.
Yeah.
You have
that's
that
huge,
ability,
right?
and you're rewarded.
Right.
For making it better. Because again, if you have customer A and customer B both have the same platform and they're both bidding on the same job, then the person who gets the job is the one who's willing to take less money.
Yep.
And so that's kind of a weird way when you think about it like that, but that's the reality of where we live. So when you're in the shop, you've got that ability to where, hey, I can do this, I could change this, or I want to do this feature first and then move to this feature, and that way help out. See how it changes things on that side of it.
Definitely, yeah, because, like when I started, it was more times than not, they would just hand me a piece of paper and go, here you go, make this.
Oh, yeah.
Come see me when you're done.
Yep.
And you're like, okay. And then you wouldn't talk to anybody.
No, you wouldn't
for
talk
the
to
rest
anybody.
of the time.
You'd go get your material
you go
for your
figure it
fixture
out.
and
Yeah, I got to
figure
go
out what you
grind a
gotta
bit,
do. Yeah,
whatever,
yeah.
get my stuff, and that was it, right? But in these days where we don't have the manpower and these, the shops, we need that ingenuity. We need to hear from, the people that are actually, running the machines.
Yep.
It's invaluable. So.
And I think too, the other part of it too is the fact that you made the comment earlier, this industry, I mean, look at the two of us sitting here. We're both machinists by trade, but that's not what we do anymore. And I think that's the other message that really wanted to get out is that while a college degree is incredibly valuable and it's important and all these things, we recognize the fact that that's not everything for everybody.
Absolutely.
The trades have a significant part. And I think you're really seeing it on the machining side of it, that you're getting some skills that will translate and can be, just because I'm a machinist now, I'm a sales manager at a machine tool dealer.
Right.
And it was a strange road to get from making parts on a daily basis. But I think that we talk to people today and I have to go to college, and I get that, but we also have to recognize that there is a tremendous opportunity and tremendous upside to being in this industry. And the other thing I would say is there's one other benefit, and that is I don't know anybody who's a machinist that can't move anywhere and get a job.
This is true.
Anywhere
This is
and get a
true.
job.
Yeah.
Anywhere.
And not only that, you know, any machinist you talk to, we do it, we got into it because we enjoy it, right? It truly wasn't a, oh, gotta do it just because I gotta do it, right?
Right.
We got into it because we really love what we do.
Yeah.
And yeah, there's other things that act upon that, right? And okay, I'm upset or I'm not happy one day or whatever. We all go through that. But ultimately, if you really peel all those layers back and you look at it, as a machinist, you love what you do, and that's what we wake up every day and come in and do our jobs, right? So there's that, and not many industries can say that, right?
No.
Think about it. How many people go, okay, I'm going to go do IT. Nothing on IT. I like IT guys, but some people get into IT just to get into IT, right? Not because they love it, because they just, man, that was a spot I needed to go.
Yeah, whereas
you know?
this is different.
And generally machinists aren't like that. They don't just get into machining because that's what they did. They fell in love with some aspect of it, and they're deviated along the way.
Right, and I think too the industry it does nothing but open up.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
I mean it just every facet of, from it comes to, like, even you when you made the comment about making a living writing post.
Yeah.
Making a living writing post.
Right.
I mean, you know,
Who'd have thought?
Who would have thought that you'd be able to do something like that?
Right.
And I think that's an important message to send to the people that are watching, is
Yeah.
that there is no end game here. There's not like, okay, I'm going to do this and I'm going to, but you have that ability because you've got these skill sets, and because you're a machinist, or because your capability to do these things can propel you into any number of avenues along the way.
Definitely.
And I think it's it's a misunderstanding too. I mean, you made the comment about how clean. Half the shops I walk into today,
Just like this.
they're just like this.
I know.
Clean floors. You can eat off the floors.
Yep.
Good ventilation. Good air quality. Air conditioning.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Air conditioning.
definitely.
You know, that sort
Yeah.
of thing there.
Oh,
So it's not
absolutely.
a bad work environment by any stretch of the imagination.
Right.
And again, what other industry could you be in that as you're making improvements, they're showing up real time right there in front of you. Right there in front of you.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And I mean,
True
who in our industry hasn't said, well, I made a part for this rocket, or I made a part for that satellite, or some
Everybody brags, right?
Everybody
Yeah,
brags. I
absolutely.
made this part that was on the Mars rover or whatever. That sort of stuff
course.
there. We all have those
That's
things.
what we do.
Yeah, and there's
Absolutely.
some wonderful thing if you think about that, hey, I made a part that went into space. How many people can say that?
Yeah,
How many people can say that?
Exactly.
You know,
yeah.
so-
there's a really good feeling about that,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
No matter what, even if you had an outside part in it, right? You didn't physically touch it, but hey, you supplied tooling for it or whatever.
Yeah.
Those things all add up. It's you know, it's the sum of all the pieces, right?
And I think too, the other thing too is that I think we should be proud of what we do.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think there's a little bit of you know, you should be very proud, because there are very few people on this planet that can do what you can do. Obviously, we see that with the lack of people that want to do this,
Right.
or have the skills to do it. It's an acquired skill. It takes a lot of natural talent, but it also takes being dedicated to learning, to doing what you're doing, to
Definitely.
improving. And the other thing is that it is, to some degree, it's not, I'm not going to say it's dangerous, but you can get hurt.
Sure.
So you need to have safety concerns and be thinking about that all the time, and be
Definitely.
responsible for your own
Yeah.
safety as well too.
Yeah.
As well too.
Yeah, you know, and on that note, it's interesting because a lot of people don't know where to go. I know that was my case, right? When I got into the industry, I was like, okay, I'm cranking manual, I'm doing some CNC stuff, but God, I know there's a whole nother avenue out there, that whole nother high-tech area. How do I get into this? And I started really digging into it. And you know, we had spoke a little while ago. I lived out in California at the time. There were no apprenticeships out there. You just kind of had to hope a company would take you in, and that was it. You should cut your teeth, and away you went. And that's how I learned. And you know, I really had to venture out. I had to reach out to tooling vendors. I had to go to their, they would have shows and stuff, and learn on my own. But by doing that, it would just move me farther and farther up the rung, and I would understand things a little bit better and kind of progress along the lines. So, you know, by doing this kind of stuff and what we're doing today here with you, thank you again for having us. This is amazing. But doing this, it kind of opens a door to to an area that sometimes is closed off. People just don't even know how to get into this side of things, right?
Again, not understanding the audience. I mean, maybe there's some 17-year-olds, some 16-year-olds that are watching this right now, and I would encourage you to go and to talk to your parents and to educate your parents about the benefits, because college is important, and it's an avenue that I think that people should take, and it's a great thing, and not to take away from that at all.
Yeah.
But understanding again that how'd you like to be 18, learn this trade, be 22, and when all your friends are graduating from college, they got $100,000 worth of debt, you've got maybe $25,000 in the bank.
Yeah. Exactly.
Okay, because you've been saving your money and you've been getting paid to do what you've been doing for the last couple of years, and maybe you got a little bit of money in the bank now, so you're starting on a different direction.
Definitely.
And again, it starts at home. Talk to your parents. Talk to your counselor at school. Talk to those people that if you feel that that's what you want to do, or you feel that this is a good environment, take the initiative, because you might not be offered it. Right, and I think that goes back to what you were saying, that nobody came when you started this work, and no one handed you everything that you need. You had to go out and find those things, and I think that that's the message that I would deliver to people is, you go out and do this and figure it out, but there's definitely some upside to it.
Yeah, it's super rewarding.
Yeah,
super
it
rewarding.
really is.
Yeah,
It really
definitely.
is.
There's careers to be made here. So, well, guys, that kind of brings us to the end of our show. It was a pleasure. Again, thank you so much for having us out here.
Yeah.
Phoenix is always beautiful, so in this
Especially
time
this
of year,
time of the year,
this time of year,
yeah.
I have to admit I got a little grin on my face right now. So it's very nice. But Arizona CNC, thank you again so much for hosting us and allowing us to invade your space for a day or so.
It's our pleasure, and we'd love to, if anybody out there wants to talk to us, we're on the internet, obviously. We'd love to hear from you, but it really was a pleasure as well, too. And I think these are healthy. These are healthy conversations that people need to understand, that we're having these conversations every day. And so I'm glad that you guys were also able to produce this in the sense of delivering a message that are things that we sometimes don't talk about.
Right. Yeah,
Definitely.
definitely. Good. All right. Well, that kind of wraps it up. And this is our last live for the year. So
I guess happy holidays.
Happy holidays, everyone.
Holidays,
yep.
everyone.
Enjoy.
Yeah.
And to do it.